Hello guys, welcome to Solving Solutions on Brown channel where I get solutions to all your solving problems. It's nice having you in class again today. How have you been? On today's tutorial, we are going to show you how to create a simple study area map, right? Good. So we have shown you how to do how to prepare an inset map using ArcGIS Pro. So we are going to show you how to use the same ArcGIS Pro to create a very simple study area map. So we have the administrative boundary of Nigeria. We can decide to just show the labels. Then inside this administrative boundary, we are interested in River State, which is also here, and then we are interested in another local government, which is Farga, and then our study area is River State University, right? Good. So we are going to use these four layers to create our study area map. So the first thing is that if you're on map, you come to insert, and then on insert you click on new layout. Now under the new layout, you select the paper size you want. So let's say we are going with A4, and then we need it as landscape. Now you have it as layout. You can decide to double click to the layout property. You change it to study area, or maybe whatever name you want to give to it, right? Good. Now the first thing is that we need to create our borderline, which is like the polygon that will now contain our maps. So we come to graphics and text. We use this drop down, and then under the drop down we see polygon, right? Good. Then we now select rectangle. So we are now going to use that rectangle to draw an extent that will now contain whatever map we want to produce, right? Good. So we have defined the extent. That's the first step. The next thing is that let's come back to our map view. What we need first off is the map of Nigeria. So we can decide to turn off the other layers so that we have only that of Nigeria. So we come back to our study area. Now under the study area, we want to insert a map frame. So we click on this map frame. So it's asking us the available map frames that we just came back from a map frame, right? Good. So this is a map frame. So now when you come to the print layout and you come to the insert map frame, it's asking you for the map frame you want to insert. So let's insert this first one. Then the extent with which you want to insert it will be dependent on you, right? Good. So let's say it should cover this particular extent. Now you can see that the scale is a bit, should I say it's too large, so we can't see all of the extent. So we come down to this part where we have the scale. What we are going to do is that we are going to reduce the scale so that we can see all of the content of the administrative boundary, right? Good. So it's on 6 million. We can decide to take it to maybe 20. Now 20 is too small. We can decide to maybe make it 10 or 15. Okay, so let's just leave it on 12. So we have the first inset inside, which is the administrative boundary of Nigeria, right? Good. The next inset is River State, and for us to insert River State, we need to create a new map. So we come to new map, and then we call this let's call this RV, right? That's rivers. Then we click on OK. So we are going to drag and drop the boundary of River State into that map. Then we now come back to our layout. We now add another frame. This time around we are adding River State, right? Good. So we say River State is somewhere around here. We just put it there. The scale is too large, so we do we reduce it. So we take this to about maybe 1 million. Good. So we have inserted River State. The next part of it is that we still come again, we create a new map layout, and then we'll call this let's say Farga. That's PH. Click on OK. We still drag and drop Farga there. Good. Then we come back to our layout, add frame, and then we have our folder here. Then we just extend our folder this way. The scale is too large. We can decide to reduce it to about 80 or 90 as the case may be. Good. So it took us to 120 for us to have what a very good fit. The final part will now be the study area in particular, which in this case is what the River State University. So we still create what a new map. We call this RSU. Then we still drag and drop, right? So this is the extent of RSU that we have. We come back to our layout. We add the map frame. We come to RSU. We drag and then we drop. The scale is still too large. We have to reduce it a bit. So we take this to about 30 or 20 as the case may be. Good. So we have successfully inserted what the four maps which we would use in the study area map. The next thing is for us to add a few map elements, right? Good. So we can add the north arrow, we can add what the scale bar, we can add some grids and all of that, right? Good. So now let's start by adding the north arrow. Let's say we choose to impute the north arrow here. You can decide to zoom in so that you have a better view of it. So let's say we decide to insert the north arrow there for the administrative boundary of the country. We still come up here, perhaps for the state boundary, we insert the north arrow there. We still come up to the local government. We insert the north arrow there. Then we'll now come to our study area. We have the north arrow, we insert it there, right? Good. So we are done with what inserting the north arrow. You can just right click and then zoom to page, right? Good. So we are done with these. The next is that okay, this appears a bit small. You can decide to increase it and then you zoom back to the page. We now come to what the scale bar. You click on new scale bar. Maybe you zoom in a bit and then you drag and drop, right? Good. So when you impute any of the map elements, you can see it under the drawing order. So under the drawing order, you can just double click to open up the properties of that particular element, or you right click and then you select properties, right? Good. So the properties window will open, and then from the properties window you can do a few modifications. So now for the scale bar, let's see what we can do. Under the first options, we can change the map units to either kilometers or meters, right? Because now let's use meters. Then you can see that it's a bit congested, so you can stretch it out a bit, maybe stretch it out a bit depending on how you want it to be. Then you can still come back to the properties, and then you reduce or increase the number of divisions, right? Good. So if we take this to 1, it has an implication on how the scale bar appears, right? Good. So depending on how you want it to be, you will decide to either increase or decrease the divisions. So this is for the administrative boundary. You can do similar stuff for the state boundary, for the local government, and for the study area. So let's still zoom back to the page. So we are going to leave this here. The next thing is we can decide to add some text. So we select street text. Let's say we create the box where we want to write, and then let's call this Nigeria. For modifying the text, you come to the text symbol. You click on the appearance, and then you can decide to change the font type to maybe whatever font type you want. Let's say we want to use Times New Roman, and then perhaps we want to make it bold, right? Good. So when you're done with that, you apply, and then you now see that it has been effected. So we can decide to zoom back to the page. So that's for Nigeria. We would come back here again to the state, street test. let's call this river state, let's say RVS, right? Still come to the text symbol, you change the font to whatever font type you want. You change the style to either bold, regular, or italicized, and then you apply. Right, good. So that's for the state. We can do similar stuff for what the local government and the study area. Now, the next very important part is what the graticals, right, good, or the grids. So how do we achieve that? Remember, we have told you something about the drawing order. So let's say if we click on the national boundary or the state boundary or the local government or our study area in particular, we are going to be seeing what this grid highlighted. Now, it is this grid that will help us to identify or to show or display what the coordinates that surrounds our study area. So we are still going to use okay, let's use that of the state. So when we click the state, we are going to see that the grid is what highlighted, right? Good. So we come to the grids, and then for the graticals, there are different graticals here. You can just decide to choose the one you want. Let's say we are going with what the basic horizontal gratical, and then you see that it has been displayed. So we are going to do a few modifications here, right? Good. Now, when you have inserted the graticals, you would see it under what the map frame. Now, for each of the map frame, when you have the graticals, you are going to see what them inside or maybe below the map frame. So we can decide to right click and come to the properties because the elements are already opened. Now, when you come to the properties, you use this drop down to see different elements of the graticals. Now, let's zoom in a bit. You can see a bigger tick and you can see smaller ticks, right? Good. Now, you can see ticks 1 and tick, right? Good. So, it represents the big and the small ticks, right? Good. So, you can also see map grids, the grid lines, and the neat lines. Let's see the implication of each of these elements on what on our map, right? Good. So, first off, let's click on the map grid. Now, when you click on the map grid, if you want ArcGIS Pro to automatically design your intervals, you can leave what automatically adjust, else you uncheck it. Now, when you uncheck this, you have the privilege to now change what the intervals of what your grids and your maybe your ticks. We are going to see it as we proceed. So now let's come back to the components. Now, under the components, we can decide to remove or add some of these elements. So we told you that ticks 1 and ticks represent these bigger and the smaller ticks, right? Good. So now let's take off ticks 1 and see. You see now that the ticks 1 removes the smaller ticks, right? Good. And then the ticks represents what the bigger ticks. Then if you come to labels, the labels represent what the coordinate values that we have here, right? Good. Now there is one important part of it here, which is this wrapped script. Now this script tells you how the coordinates are being displayed. If you look closely, you're going to see the type to be grid, the units to be DMS, that's degree, minute, and seconds, and then the decimal place to be 0, then the showing of the direction, show of 0 minutes, and then show of 0 seconds to be false, right? Good. Now we are going to change this false to true, so that we now have what our coordinates to be displayed in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So we just type true and then we apply. When we do that, we now see our coordinates in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So this means that this particular script here can be modified, right? Good. So maybe we'll make a video on how to change it from this DMS to what to northern and easterns, right? Good. But for the purpose of this study area map, let's just stick with this. So we have the DMS in degree, minute, and seconds. We still come up again. We can decide to zoom to page. Now, upon zooming to page, we can see that the grid lines are so obvious. So we still come to select what the grids, and then we come to what the grid lines. Now, when we select the grid lines, we go to the symbols, and then under the symbols, we can now select the color. And then we select no color, and then apply. When we select no color and apply, you see now that what the lines have all disappeared, which means we have removed the lines. The next thing we are going to modify is that I prefer my coordinates on the left and then on the right to be vertically ascending instead of what horizontal. So under the labels, we scroll down, we are going to see vertical. So it's asking us which of the elements we want to turn vertical, right? The orientation. So we click on east and west, which represents the left and the right. Okay, east is the right, west is the left, right? Good. So we now have our coordinates in vertically ascending order. We can decide to just move this up a bit, since we have seen that it is going off our borderline, right? Good. So this is how you are going to add what the grid lines for all other what insets we have in our study area map, right? Good. So we have done that for the state. Remember, we can still do a few modifications. Now the next modification is that if you want to change what the font, right? Good. So we still come back here. Now under the grid, the map grids, we select labels, right? Good. So we now see the font name. Instead of Tauma, we can decide to use what? Times New Romans, right? Good. And then perhaps we make the font bold, and then the size, maybe we leave it at 10 or 12 as the case may be, and then we apply. When you do that, you are going to see that you have actually what modified the font. Are we together? Good. Now the next part of the tutorial is going to show us how to show the extent indicator. Now you know Rivers State is in Nigeria, Falga is in Rivers State, and then this our study area is in Falga. So this extent indicator helps you to know the extent that each of the sub inserts covers in the composite. So if we come to the first one, which is the map of Nigeria, and then we come down to extent indicator, and then we click on map 1. It has shown us where the River State map falls under what? Nigeria, right? Good. So if we come to River State, we still come back to extent indicator, we click on map 2. It has shown us where the Falga map falls in the River State map, right? If we still come back to the extent indicator, and then we click on, okay, let's select the local government map. We come back to the extent indicator, and then we select map 3. It has shown us where what the study area falls within what the local government boundary, right? Good. So this gives you a perspective to understand that, okay, in the administrative boundary of the country, this is where the state falls. In that of the state, this is where the local government falls, and then inside of the local government, this is where what the study area falls, right? Good. Now each of these extent indicators are in our drawing order. We have extent for map 3, right? Good. So if you click on it, you would see the properties. You can decide to change the color from black to maybe any other color of your choice. Let's say we make it red, and then we increase the outline to about 3, so that it can be more conspicuous, right? Good. So we have done that for the local government. You can do similar stuff for the country, for the state, right? Good. So that it will be so legible for you to see, right? Good. So we have shown you how to maybe write some text. We have shown you how to add the graticals. We have shown you how to add what the scale bar. We have shown you how to maybe use the map extent indicator, or maybe the extent indicator. And then we have also shown you how to carry out a few other modifications that will help maybe perhaps your study area map to look more befitting, right? Good. So before we go, we are going to show you how to attach the arrows that will perhaps show the direction of the study area map. So we still we use that drop down, and then we click on arrows, right? Good. So let's say we start from here to this point. That's the first arrow. We still come up to selecting arrow. We move from here down to this point, and then we select arrow again. Then we move from here down to this point. Now the arrow aspect, you can decide to maybe neglect it if it will not add any other meaning to your work. So for the purpose of the tutorial, we can also decide to remove it, but if you wish to add it, that's how you add arrows to show the direction of the study area map from the administrative boundary to maybe the state to the local government, finally to your study area, right? Good. So we have about how many? We have about 3 maps. The first map that we have used as the administrative, that of the state, the local government, and then the study area. So in each of these maps, if you want to add some other information, like maybe some points, some lines, or whatever the case is, when you add them, they'll definitely show what on the map layout, right? Good. So we hope you have shown you using this video to create a study area map. The last part will be how to what to share, right? Good. That's how to export. So when you have done the articles for the country, for the local government, and for the study area, you have added your north arrow, the scale bars, you've modified the coordinates, maybe done some other few modifications, you can now decide to what to share, right? Good. Now when you click on share, you come to export layout, and then you navigate to the folder where you want to store it, right? Good. So we have navigated to our folder of choice. We have it as study area. So we have it as study area PNG. We click on save. Haven't done that. Remember, you still have to do a few modifications. This is not the final part of what the study area map, right? Good. You now export. So we have exported. Let's view the exported file. So this is what we have. Not too bad. This will be a foundation upon which you are going to build out to produce a study area map using ArcGIS Pro. So thanks for coming to class. We hope we have provided solution to this particular solving problem. We are going to see you on the next tutorial. Ensure you keep staying safe and have a fantastic time. Bye.